Welcome to the Take Money, Make Money show, where we talk all things reselling. We'll show you how to take your money to make more money. We show you how to crush it on eBay, Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, offer up, you name it, because we've done it. Hosted by me, GrowWithChris. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of the Take Money, Make Money show. I'm your host, GrowWithChris, and I'm excited about today's topic. First of all, I want to shout out everyone that has purchased the 6-figure reseller course. Been getting some great reviews. Appreciate you tapping in. Thank you to all the subscribers on the different podcast outlets. Please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Even if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. Leave us some reviews, 5 stars. Let's get the numbers up. Let's keep the energy going. And let me know if you like this content. Today, I think we're going to talk about a topic that you once again, grab some pens, grab a pen, some paper. We're going to talk about sourcing some products. In particular, I want to hit on seasonality. I want to talk about just psychology, selling locally. And then, let me see, the third thing. I think the third thing that comes to me after that. But let's just talk about seasonality real quick. My wife been kind of asking me about this. And I think it's a good topic. So each year, and I said this in a previous video, that like what I sold 2 months ago, I may not be selling now. What I sold last year, I may not be selling now. But there is a certain level of seasonality to reselling that you sort of want to just be aware of. That's not to say that you're going to sell the same thing every year, but you kind of know how things become more in demand as the seasons change. So I'm going to call out some products today that I've sold in different seasons, and I will still be keeping these products on my radar for the upcoming seasons. It doesn't mean I'm going to for sure buy them, right? Because sometimes demand just changes by the year. But I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out for certain items that have been very profitable for me, that I've moved large quantities of in previous years. So at the time of this recording, July 2022, it's hot. Everyone is, enjoying summer, but we know coming up next is the fall, right? We know that in most of the country, it starts to get cooler. People are starting to transition their activities to indoors. And then, of course, we have the holiday season right around the corner. So one item that really did very well for me last year were patio heaters. Remember, the context was that we were coming out of COVID. We're still was in COVID. People were wanting to gather. Thanksgiving, are we going to be in the house, outside? People wanted to be outside and be able to be warm. Patio heaters did very, very well for me. It made a lot of sense, and I anticipate that they will do well this year as well. And we're going to talk about psychology of selling locally in a second, because it's going to connect to patio heaters. So that's a little tease. I want you to remember that. So we'll come back to that. But patio heaters did very well. Also, when it comes to like back to school shopping, printers have done very, very well for me. I know people who have sold a lot of paper, believe it or not. Now, I've never sold paper before, and they sell it on Amazon, by the way. I've never done that, but I know a guy who sold a lot of paper. But I did sell a lot of printers. Printers do very, very well, especially if you can get printers on a lower end price. I guess it can go to any, high end too, but in particular, it was a certain HP printer that was a $20-$25 printer retail. It was reselling for like $55-$60, and it was great money. And I was able to get those from like Walmart, different locations, and then sell them on eBay and also on Amazon. So those did very, very well, and I anticipate that they're going to do good again when college season gets here, when everyone's leaving home to go to school. I know the vibes. Everyone wants a printer. Parents want to get a printer for their kids. Kids want printers for their dorms or their apartments, and they just go crazy. And you always will see, like, You look on like Walmart, you look in the paper. I don't know if you all looked in sales papers, but you may want to get back into that. They'll have like that one item that's like ridiculously low priced, but it doesn't last. They'll say like while supplies last, it doesn't last. It always sells out. Those are like the perfect type of items to resell on online platforms because they're priced so cheap, but then you're able to mark them up at a price that's still cheaper than most other items, and it still has the same function for the most part. And people oftentimes, there's a demographic of buyers who they buy things like they don't want to spend over a certain amount for certain types of item. So it's like if I can get a printer for under $50, I want it. Never mind the fact that you paid $20, $25 for it and you're selling it for $45. They don't even care to know that. They just like, all right, it's a good printer, it's a name brand, it works, it's $50. That's the amount I wanted to pay for, and they buy it. So printers are good. I told you also patio heaters were good. Something else, just other seasonal things. In the summer, in previous years, we had swimming pools do very well. This year, I don't think they are in as much demand, but things like trampolines, basketball hoops, kayaks. I mean, I'm just giving you items. These are legit items that you want to definitely go back and do your research on. Look and see what they're selling for in the marketplaces. These are items that are, like I said, seasonal in nature. Bikes as well, because a lot of these items, especially in the local markets, will be profitable, especially if you're able to obtain them for good prices. If you're able to get some money off, or you're able to get like the items on sale, you're able to then go back and list those things in the local markets. So seasonality is important, and you just want to be aware, like what goes in demand when the seasons change. And you can think about this in your local market as well as just in a global or national market as well. When you're selling things online, you want to be aware of like what's going to become more in demand as these things change. And also just being aware of just, certain hot items that just comes, that we can't really predict, but they just come out and they're limited quantities. And if you can get your hands on some, you have the potential to resell it for high profits. Let's talk a little bit about psychology now. I talked about it a little bit sprinkled out, throughout. One way I did really well with patio heaters, for example, it goes back to the example I just gave with the printer. When you're selling things locally, we sort of have these numbers in our head already that we're willing to pay for an item. We're like, I'm not going to pay more than this for this. Like, for example, if I said, like, you got to go out and buy a bike for your kid, like, what's the most you're willing to pay? People had that number in their head already. So for me, the number that came up was like $150. I'm thinking about my oldest daughter. Like $150, probably the most I'm willing to pay for a bike. Now, there's some people who really bike enthusiasts. They're like, oh, yes, that's a cheap bike. You got to spend $300 on a bike. But for me, I'm thinking $150 is good for a bike. And I kind of know some of these prices, right? You can get bikes, for a girl anywhere from 80 to 100, 120 bucks. So just think about that. If you're going to sell something local, like if you can get a bike, a Huffy, a nice bike for like $100, and then you list it for $150, or you list it for like $175, but you take $150, people will feel good about paying that price for the bike, because that's about people kind of expect to pay around that for a bike. And that's something that really is strong to know when you sell things locally. Like you can round up to these psychological levels or prices that people kind of are willing to pay. It works very well. Same thing with the patio heaters. So there was a site called academy.com, which I definitely recommend you kind of look into. They sell some good items there. They had a certain patio heater that they sold for $100. Now, most people in my local market didn't even know about Academy. And because so many resellers would buy things on there, you had to be super quick to even have a chance at buying it for $100. But I would buy them for $100. They would ship out from like Ohio. They would get to me in like a day or two. And then people were willing to spend $150 to $200 for it easily, just because most other models of patio heaters were 200 and up. So I'm getting something for 100, and then I'm listing it pretty much in line with the rest of the retail. It made sense once again because that psychological price, but people were willing to pay for it. So when you look at certain items, you got to think about like what's the amount that you're getting it from, and how does that amount compare with the psychological number that people are used to paying for the item or willing to pay for the item. And oftentimes you're going to find a gap, and that's going to be your potential profit margin, especially when you're selling local. The same thing applies selling online, but remember there's going to be selling fees associated with selling on like eBay or Amazon. And so that's going to cut into that. But the same rule applies. The last thing I'll say is just that there's a little bit of a difference between an online buyer and a local buyer. A local buyer, they don't want to wait for shipping, right? They want what they want now. So that a lot of times they're willing to pay a few extra dollars just because they're meeting up with you. They get to take the item home and use it immediately. A lot of times people don't want to have to order something and have to wait a long time, especially if it's not from Amazon. If Amazon don't got it, a lot of people, they get frustrated because, Amazon has conditioned us to get things in a day or two. So when they see they got to order it from another site, it could be cheaper than what you're selling it for, but that other site is not going to get it to them for a week. They're like, man, I'll pay the extra $30 to get it from somebody local. So just understand that as well. There's a large population of people, believe it or not, that love to just pay cash for items, get it, don't got to ship things, don't got to wait, because they may have had some bad experiences with shipping or whatever the case. So don't sleep on the local. I put a post up on my Instagram last week about, the tips you want to follow if you're going to do things locally. Safety first, as always. And I, go over some more details of that there. But I just want you to know, like the seasonality of items, if you can get those items at lower prices, you're going to have profit already built in based off of the amount you pay. Once again, it's the Take Money, Make Money show. I want to thank you for tuning in. And also, if you haven't already, check out the 6-Figure Reseller course where we go through things in great detail, teaching from what I know. I wanted to say this and I'm going to sign out. See, the reason I can sit in front of this camera, I can sit on Instagram, I can do these things is because I really lived it. I live it still. I didn't buy any course to teach me how to do this. I didn't have a course like this. I didn't have a podcast. I literally just had a vision, an idea, and a hunger, and I just did it. And I was successful, but I also took some losses. I made some mistakes along the way, but I didn't have a course. So when you get the 6-Figure Reseller course, I'm giving you straight up like what I've done, right? I'm not saying, oh, this is what everyone does. Like, no, I pieced together my own path. That's why, I don't even worry about like comparing it to anybody else's, because this is truly what I did to work. It's what I did to grow a multi-6-figure business. You know what I'm saying? And so no one can take that from me, and I just try to be transparent and share and help other people do the same. So like, if you haven't already got the course, I definitely recommend it. The link is below. You can get it for a discount. Tap in. But I want to, more than anything, thank you for tuning into the show, wherever you're catching it at, whether it be on your phone or, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're checking this out. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. We're out of here. Peace.